Hey class, um, let's put a presentation board together. So far you should have a couple of drawings in 2 sheets. We have our orthographic drawings which show section cuts and elevations, and we also should have the axonometric drawings that you guys just completed. Let's go ahead and use these drawings plus some other ones perhaps, um, so that we can create a more colorful, appealing, and hopefully memorable presentation. Okay, so you're gonna need the PDFs that you've been generating so far. We're gonna be using Illustrator now to generate this board. There's the other ways, but I'd like for us to explore Illustrator for right now. And like I said, I'd like for us to make use of color. All right, so we'll be using some tools, and overall, be creative and have some fun designing a graphical uh, presentation. So open up Illustrator. Go ahead and let's create a new file. The width should be 20 inches. The height should be 40 inches. That's going to be the size of our board, and it's big. It's going to be big. Um, and the settings right here, because you can copy mine, right? So CMYK. We are going to be printing, so it's helpful to see the actual print colors versus the RGB, which are usually for web. Um, raster effects, high, since it's going to be a final board, and this preview, I guess default. I'm not sure if I know what that, or if I've used it before, but then let's go ahead and create. Okay, so it brings up our board. And so the idea is to bring these drawings onto this workspace right here. And I edit them a little bit to give them color. Okay, and the way to do that, it's quite simple for starters. So I have in a folder right here the files, PDF format. So let's see, we can start with the elevations and sections. So we can right click, and I'm assuming that you have Adobe Acrobat. So the computers here at the school should have them. And if you're using the Creative Cloud, you should also have it as well. And if you do, you right click on a PDF, and it's gonna ask you open with. And rather than opening with Acrobat, let's go ahead and open it with Adobe Illustrator. And we have our drawings over here. And why don't we do that the same for the other ones? Right click, open with Adobe Illustrator over here. Okay. And let me see if I have an example. It's just kind of like I was just starting to test some of these things. So I like to play with now changing the line colors of your diagrams, and also changing the background color, generating some additional perspective graphics, and of course adding our text and formatting for presentation. So a neat way, that I like to share with you guys to go about this is using color palettes. And there's this very helpful site. Some of you guys might be familiar with, some of you guys maybe it's new, but it is called Coolors, I guess, coolors.co. So far, I've used the free version. I did generate a account, and you can save color palettes, and that's what we're using it for, to generate color palettes. And so far, it actually turned out to be a pretty awesome tool. Once you generate an account, me start right here. It says start the generator. And just to illustrate how this works, I'll work off with the 5 colors you can add or remove. Number of colors. But if you press the spacebar, it says right here, press the spacebar to generate color palettes. You'll see that it takes you through multiple color palettes. And let's say that you really like one in particular, you can kind of like go back right here and like, hey, I like that. Now let's say that I like this right here, but I wanted to change maybe a few other ones. So let's say I like that, so I can lock them. Let's say that I want some other ideas. I press spacebar and they'll come up with some additional color palettes. And I can go ahead and save them. And I can give this, name rec test, recording test, save it. And then you can go on to your dashboard, I think. That's where it is. And it saves your palettes right here. You can make copies of it. So I was just kind of like playing with it. But I think I was using this palette right here. Right? That we'll be using some of these. Well, that's the palette that I like to use for my example that I'll be taking you guys through for this recording. So let's see what we can do. So the first thing that I would do right here on this new artboard, which is your 20 by 40. Again, it's very important that you make sure that your units are correct. So if you press Control R, that brings out your ruler. And again, that brings up right here. It's the 20 by 40 inches, right? Here. Additionally, you should be able to go to a document setup. And again, make sure that your units are set to inches. That is really, really important. Okay. Let's start off by giving ourselves a background. So I'm going to create a new layer. You double click on Illustrator. And I'm assuming, again, that everyone's got at least some basic knowledge of Illustrator. So I'm going to call this background, BCKG. That's going to be my background color. Okay. So I'm going to bring in here a rectangle. That could just be the letter M, or just select the rectangle tool. As you probably know by now, hopefully, you got basically 2 different color options for that shape. You've got your fill and your stroke. In this case, I want to do a background color. So I can select the stroke color. I can actually remove that. And then I can double click on this color right here. And this is where I can I can use the numbers down here to match that color right here. So let me illustrate. So if I select that right there, and let's say that I wanted my background color to be this very heavy pink. So I can type E952DE, enter. I can resize that. Now you'll notice that the color is a little bit different. It's because we're working right now again in the CMYK versus the RGB, and the colors always on the screen are a little bit brighter. Have a much higher contrast. But since we are going to be printing, it's kind of like it's showing us like that. So for example, that's my background color, which again is trying to, match this one right here. If I did things correctly, so I can always go back and double click right here and make sure I did that correctly. Yeah, so E95 to DE. I can change that. FFA 0FT, right? So I'm now on this other color right here. I like to experiment with a almost black background. So I'm going to use actually the first one to your left. So I'm going to double click right here, 001514, and we achieve that. So we have a background color, okay? And as a matter of fact, show you guys. I'm gonna go right here, document setup, edit artboards, and I'm gonna hold Alt, click and drag, and I'm creating an additional artboard or canvas. Now I have two files. The reason for doing that is so that I can experiment. So let's say, for example, I wanted to evaluate, I mean, which background color do I want to use? Well, I can just copy the artboards and I can assign this one a different color. So I can be the C2D076. Yeah? And it's like, oh, okay. Because that actually looks really neat, the one on the left, right? So, okay, that could work. I can also, and of course, you can just, you could technically just kind of like copy this right here and bring it down to the side. But we can play with some gradients, right? So you can assign this gradient right here. You should have this tool right here from your, oops, right here. If your workspace looks somewhat different than mine, switch workspace. I'm in Essential Classic. So that more or less bring icons and the interface somewhat similar to the one that I have. Let's say that I wanted a gradient on this board background. So I'm gonna rotate -90. I want the gradient to be from the bottom up. And again, you can get very creative right here. Let's say that on this bottom portion right here, I want it to be this darker pink right here. So I can double click right here. And again, I can double copy. I can copy. As a matter of fact, I think you can actually copy that right there. Let's see. It said color copy. So let's see. There you go. All right. So enter. And let's say that I wanted to do now. Say this other one. So color. So I just click on it. Color copied. I go back to Illustrator. All right. So now I double click on this dot right here. Double click right here. Paste the color code, and I just click out somewhere, and it gives me that gradient. So there's a lot of options right here. So I have those three right now. What I would suggest is locking your background so that again all of these are locked, and I cannot move them. Okay. Next, it's about bringing in some drawings. So let's start maybe with our architectural drawings that we have that we made over here. So let's start off with one. Let's see. So I can copy all of this, bring it over here, paste it, Control V. Whoops. So what that means is that I'm attempting to paste, and I'm actually right now in a lock layer. I'm going to say no. I'm actually going to place myself on the layer 2 now, and let's paste it, and then that should be, okay. So you want to be careful right now. Things are not grouped; they're just brought onto the board. So if I click out, all of these are individual lines, and that's one of the drawbacks of doing it the way that we're doing it right now. As a matter of fact, some might argue that this is not the best way, and I would actually agree that maybe it's not the best way, but it's a way. Let's say that you have these PDFs, right, for other projects and studio projects that you want to put a presentation together. This will help, but one of the drawbacks, and it's a big drawback actually, is that the dash lines don't know if you see, but it actually breaks it down in each segment of this dash line right here is breaking it down into a line. So rather than actually being a dash line, so we're gonna have to navigate around that. But you can see already how cool these drawings pop up. I mean, how they really contrast um, on the board right here. So place them right here. This one over here. But then since I'm working on this, and this is where I want you guys to explore graphically now. It's kind of like the assignment now. You see how well that those colors don't really work, right? Those don't really work. So what that means is that we probably would have to and again I'm holding shift. I'm holding Alt Shift so that I can click copy an object. So, but what I can do, it's change color of all of these lines right here, right? So I could somehow change all of that, and it's quite simple. So what I would suggest is to break this down into groups. So for example, let me show you. So I'll call this, I think this is elevation 2, right? And then I'm gonna group all of this right here. So select all of that and press Control G. Now, all of this is within that layer. Okay. Now, if I double click on this group, right, check this out. I can then go to. So I just want to select the lines, right? So I just want to select the lines. So I can do this. I could do this and maybe kind of like just hold Control and just kind of like that. Select this or this, right? I'll show you a tool that is helpful. So if you go to Select, Same, and then you have Appearance, Blending Mode, Fill and Stroke, Fill Color, Opacity, Stroke Color. This is Stroke Color, right? So it selects all of those. I'm not sure they all should be the same color, but I don't know where that color came from, to be honest with you. This kind of like is very unnoticeable, but it's like sort of purple right there. But I can go select an object, right? Select Same. Let's say stroke weight. So it's going to select everything that has the same stroke weight, all of those lines. Go to Select, Same, Fill and Stroke, right, and so forth. But can also just get rid of these right here. I think I'll like to redraw these here in Illustrator, and this is going to simplify a little bit of things for us. So again, remember, I'm still in the group. Right? I'm still in the group right here. So I know because I don't know if you guys can see up here. There's like that red line right here, which actually matches this red right here, which means that I'm in a group. So if I double click again on this artboard, now I'm outside of the group, and notice how my layers change. Okay, so now that I have that group, and let's see if everything got grouped correctly. Yes. So I can right here attempt to change this globally. So I'm going to change these lines to let's say this color right here, the C2. All right, so I can just click here, copy it, paste it over here, click out, click OK. All right, and notice how now I have this drawing here. And these, unfortunately, we're gonna have to get rid of them. These dots right here. I'm gonna select. Because again, like I said, I'm gonna select this, deselect that, and then here, deselect that. Because like I said, unfortunately, reading from the PDF, so I got rid of those dots right there. And we have a drawing here. Okay, so it's the same drawing, actually the same line weights. I wouldn't scale it because it's already to a scale. Right? So I can probably, as you saw, I can also, I'm gonna make a copy of this, bring it over here. Oops, is that group? It's a group. You can add that text later on. So I'm gonna select all of these text, delete it. This for right now, delete it. Over here, get this up a little bit. Here. Go ahead and delete your arrows, text, and not your fills. Okay, so you have this right here. So for example, I can select all of this right here. And again, I can double click right here. I can, I think it's still in my clipboard, so I can just click OK, paste it, click OK, and I have these drawings right here. Now let's talk about this sections, for example. Right. So again, what I would recommend is to group this at least by drawing types or categories. So, for example, again, I would go back to your layers over here, and I have elevation. I think I have elevation 2. You can even create a new layer right here, call it elevations. And then I can drag this guy over here, and then now everything is kind of like part of that group. But even then, within this right here, this I can actually even group those by themselves. And I can create a new sub-layer. Call this other, the other. This is like an elevation set. And check this out. I can select these objects right here. See this little square? I drag it, dump it right there. I have changed that layer right there, and you can see how I have the parent layer, the main layer. But then I can also have sub layers with different components there, and this is going to be very, very helpful. Just like in any other software, I guess, layers are super important. I'm going to create another one called sections. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this right here. That. So within the sections, I actually want to have two. Well, I'm gonna group this right here, group it, and sections here, right here. So then there's the group. I'm going to. I like to have under the section a sub layer called fills. I'm gonna call it fill color. I like to go into this group right here, select these my hatches. Remember that those are our fill colors. Let's see if this works right here. Select same fill color. Notice that it does that for us nicely, right? Cool. And again, I'm gonna change. But we actually need to do that. Okay, so let's actually ungroup this. Group. Why? Well, I guess, do I need to bring it over here? I need to create a, so I want to create a new layer right here. I'm gonna change my fills. Okay, we'll have to do it manually. So I'm gonna select these ones right here, and let's apply them a different color. So let's do a cut of, say maybe this color right here. Got that fill over here. Create a new layer. Okay. And then now I like to change the stroke, this stroke right here, the color, to the same one here. So let's do C2D06. Now have that effect. Whoops. We have our sections now. Elevations. Notice that we still have our line weights. Should still have our line weights, line types as well. And let's not forget to clean them up in terms of these dots right here. These dots over here. So actually we have to just click there, deselect these right here by holding shift. This line there. And here. And I think that should be right there. This one over here. This one over here. Hold shift, deselect that. This right here, and then zoom in there and select that layer and this other stroke. Okay, so I think it's a good place to pause. So let's go ahead and set up your file with an artboard. Select a color palette of 5 colors. Assign a color to your background. Assign a color to your lines, and assign a color to your fill. And also let's remove these dots if you have them. Just the dots, not the dashes. And feel free to work in the multiple options as I'm doing right now, so that you can evaluate. So for example, how would those green lines look on this pink? You see that it's a little bit hard to see, but worth exploring. Maybe if it's set right here in a darker background, it can work. So anyway, and we'll continue after that. Okay.